Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an article titled Jana Hawking on Why Men Won't Date Women Over 35. And a big shout out to all you guys, all 5 or 6 of you that sent me a link to this article. I kid you not, over the last 30 hours or so, all these emails were coming in from guys all over the place wanting me to cover this article, so this one's for you. And guys, what we have here, this article is written by a woman. I believe she's from Australia, and she's a podcaster, and she writes articles here and there like this one, typically about dating and relationships and guys and all that. And she's pretty much covering in this article her reaction to a conversation she had with one of her male friends, where he expressed interest in one of her female friends they saw on Instagram. And then when he found out how old she was 37, he was no longer interested. And the guy, I think, is 45 years old. And the woman that wrote this article, who also I'm pretty certain is in her 30s, she's definitely in her 30s as well, she didn't like that he then wasn't interested in her because her friend was 37 years old. And obviously because they're friends, they were going back and forth on the subject and all that. And this whole article is pretty much, jabbing guys for essentially making us out to be the bad guys because of things like turning down a gal because of her age and things like that and blah, blah, blah. We've all heard it. And I'm covering this because this is something that happens quite often, where guys are labeled, there may have to be the bad guy, labeled as being shallow and superficial and all these nasty labels, because when it comes to the looks department and age, it is an important thing to us, right? Because, being perfectly honest here, it is. Men, we, by and large, for guys, looks, body type, and age are right at the top of the list of importance. If the gal doesn't meet what is considered to be our bare minimum standards, she has no chance. Doesn't matter how cool she is, how smart she is, how fun to be around she is, funny, all positive traits. If we're not physically into her, it's never going to work. Never. And a lot of women get bent out of shape over that and insult us. And I'm sure there's one guy watching this that has had one woman they know sound off about this, get on a rant to make us out to be the bad guys about that. And it is what it is. It's who we are. We own it. On the other hand, I've never heard any women really acknowledge or admit that they're, in a way, could be seen as the bad guys too, or bad girls too, when they have high standards as well. Because while we're labeled as the bad guy for being, sexist and having issues with age and all that, for the gals, the big important thing to them could be status, the guy's job title, his income, how much money he has, what kind of degrees he has, like a master's or even higher, like a PhD. You get my point here. And so if a guy doesn't meet her bare minimum standards, he's got no chance. Even if he is probably a good-looking guy, and he's cool, and he's loyal, and he's funny, and all these other things, if he doesn't have their bare minimum standards, usually things like what I mentioned, then he's toast. But we're the bad guys because looks and age are important, but they're not the bad guys because of things like income and status and degrees. You see what I'm getting at here? That's never acknowledged. But anyhow, guys, I'm going to go through her thing here. First, her article about this, and I'm going to, add my 2 cents along the way and point out some BS when necessary. And then there's a second article that she wrote kind of dealing with the 30s with the gals as well, which only will back up my point more, which I'll get to. So it starts off. Says there's a certain age that many men won't go above when looking for a partner, and it blows Jana Hawking's mind. She says, I remember exactly when I had my first, oh, that's what they mean when they say you're over the hill moment. It was New Year's Eve, and I was in Byron Bay on a girls' trip. A male friend of mine had spotted one of my friends in an Instagram story and asked me to set him up with her. I checked to see if she was interested, and sadly for this Cupid, it was a no. I tried to soften the blow and said what all good Cupids in a crisis say, sorry, she just started seeing someone else. Well, that's kind of the classic line that gals will have, oh, I got a boyfriend or whatever. No, she's just not interested. To which he responded, oh, that's okay, she's too old for me anyway. Uh-oh. Mount Vesuvius. Now let me give you some background here. She is 37 and he is 45. When I responded with excuse me, what? He replied, like I said, she's too old. I want kids one day. She says, now imagine one of those cartoon characters that's so furious that smoke literally comes out of their ears. Yeah, well, it's safe to say that was me. How come? He's allowed to have standards. If he wants a gal, let me just say this. There are definitely guys out there that will not give a woman of a certain age the time of day. It is what it is. The same exact way that there are women that if a guy is under 6 feet tall or doesn't make a certain income or have a college education, she won't give him the time of day. Does it mean they're all going to be like that? Absolutely not. But a lot are. But again, the guy is always labeled the bad guy because of him not giving a gal the time of day because of her age or because of her looks or something along those lines. And this is what we're going to experience right here. I text back furiously that number one, she had her eggs frozen years ago, so joke's on him, and two, she's not actually seeing someone else, she just thinks you're a flog. Now, I don't know what a flog is. I didn't bother to look that up, so any of you Australian folks out there, or anybody knows what a flog, F-O-G, means, let me know. But wait a second here, something that caught my attention as I read this. She said that she wasn't actually seeing somebody else, she thinks you're just a flog. So obviously it's an insult. Well, the woman never met him, her friend. She just saw a picture of him. So she was judging him by his looks and says that thinks you're a flog. So wait a second. He's the bad guy because in her view, he's judging her or passing her because she's 37. But her friend initially did the same thing to him, turned him down because she obviously, I'm guessing a flog is supposed to be something that on his looks. See? There you go. Same thing. And by the way, about the whole egg frozen thing, I've known a couple women that have done that, and it ain't cheap. It's a lot of freaking money to do those things, to the surgery to get the eggs out. Then there's cost to store them, and I believe there's the cost to reinsert them when they obviously get a dude. It is a very expensive process, and it's not a guarantee it's going to work. And the idea that gals can later in life, no problem at all, have children. Women can have children later in life, absolutely. My sister was born after my mom was 35. But it's a lot harder and it's not as much of a guarantee as they were when you're younger. So there's some guys that simply they're not interested because they want younger women for the looks and body type, but also because it is harder as they get older. It is what it is. She says, okay, so I may have been a little brutal, but seriously, not today, Satan. I had another experience recently when some bloke in the U.S. came across one of my articles and shared it on his YouTube channel with his thousands of followers under the title, Jana Hawking shows why women are shocked when they hit the wall. Yep. Well, that wasn't me, obviously. I did a video, I think it was in 2020 at some point that she had covered over some article dealing with guys. I thought it was silly, so I covered it and, poked fun, but that was definitely not me. But I have an idea who it may have been. Now I'm curious, I'm going to look it up. For 27 minutes, he discussed at length why someone my age has left it too late to find someone special and should basically settle for whatever I can get. I was then inundated by his followers on my Instagram account with messages telling me I'm washed up, too old, a waste of space. I'll be single forever and worse, much worse. Now, bless their cotton socks, they really helped me with my page engagement for the week, but of course, not one of them used their real name or had their real picture on their profiles. So she got bombarded with people saying this and that to her. Now, by the way, guys, if it isn't obvious already, whenever I do articles or stories and there's a link to the author, do me a favor and do not contact them. It's not cool, okay? Because last thing, if you enjoy my work, you don't want to go bother somebody and then it come back and impact my channel. So please don't contact her or anything like that. Let them be. We do the articles, do the stories, that's that. But anyhow, guys were contacting her about that. She says, for blokes with such strong opinions, they should like to hide behind a fake Instagram account. Anyway, I like to say I had little LOL and moved on. But upon reflection, I think I may have taken some of it to heart. Over the next month, I lost interest in the dating apps, couldn't really muster up the courage to go on a date, and in a rather dark moment, scheduled an extra dose of Botox. I had this awful realization that many men have cut off the age of 35 years old on the dating apps, despite their own age being significantly older. Well, okay, here's the deal. Like I said before, that doesn't mean all guys are going to be like that. There are women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that I've known. I'm a trainer guy, so I see this all the time. They look damn good because they work very hard at taking care of their bodies in the gym, eating well, dressing sexy, going to the salon every couple of weeks to have their hair done and maintained. All these things, they're cool, they're feminine. And they got no problem getting guys, whether they're 35 or 45 or 55. But it's not the same in comparison to a chick in her prime in her 20s. It is what it is. And there are guys that won't give these women the time of day. But like I said before, there are women that won't give guys the time of day. If the guy is, the guy could be 5'10" and make $80,000 a year, and maybe just have a bachelor's degree, but he won't be good enough for some women. They're looking for the guy who's 6'2", better body, makes $150,000 a year, and has a master's degree in business. Okay. It goes back and forth, goes both ways. We have our things we do that they see us as shallow, and they got their things they do as we see as shallow. But this whole idea that, guys just that she's all washed up, no. But it's not going to be as easy. And by the way, a lot of these gals get upset because the types of guys they want won't go for them. Well, here's the deal. There are plenty of dudes out there that are good guys, and if there's a pretty gal who's 35 years old, no problem. They'll go for her. The problem is usually those guys, these gals don't want. They typically want the top 5%, where the guys most certainly are above a certain height, usually above 6 feet tall, income, status, speaks a couple foreign languages, and the list goes on and on. So they have to realize you're not going to get those guys, because those guys obviously are more higher guys on the totem pole. They're going to go for the younger gals. They're going to get the best they can get. It is what it is. And these gals are trying to get the best that they think they can get. But their ideas are a little warped, because as they get older, they just become down on the lower on the totem pole in terms of being visually appealing compared to when they were in their prime, their late teens and 20s. It is what it is. I cover the truth here, guys, and often the ugly truth that a lot of people don't want to hear. Anyway, she says here, so my lovely mentor and MAFS expert Mel Schilling came on my Kinda Sorta Dating podcast this week. I had a bit of a shock about my current dilemma, and she's having none of it. Yep, she really fired up and snapped me out of my pity party for one. She says, block and delete. She screamed, that's not all blokes, Jana, and do you really care what those ageist think? There's no room in our lives for those outdated attitudes. Well, labeling guys like that as ageist. Well, again, okay, they're not giving you the time of day because of your age, but how many guys would you not give the time of day because of their income, or because of their height, or their lack of degrees? See? So you can't make us out to be the bad guys when the gals are just as guilty, but just on different things. She says, do not even waste your energy on people who are going to have those views. They are so irrelevant to our lives. That's pretty much I tell guys as well about the gals out there. Yep, she really went off, and it was glorious. It was like a cold splash of water in the face that I needed. And it turns out that I'm not the only one having these feelings. New research commissioned by eHarmony found that singles over 35 are holding back more than Generation Z, with 69% mistakenly believing they're too old for love. I'm assuming she means gals feeling that they're too old for love at 35. Now, again, here's the question. Who are they going for? What guys are they going for? Are they going for everyday, ordinary Joes? Or are they going for the top 5% of the guys that are of a certain status, certain income, certain education, certain body type, certain height? Because they all can't get them. And those guys, considered to be the high-value men that have a choice, they have a lot of options. If they have the choice between, gals in their 30s that look good or gals in their 20s that look good, who are they going to go for? It's kind of obvious. The same way as these same gals that complain, given the choice between a guy that makes $75,000 a year and is 5'10" versus a guy that's 6'3" and makes $400,000 a year, which one are they going to go for? $75,000 a year guy who's 5'10" or $400,000 a year guy who's 6'3"? Duh. So we're all the same here. Let's just be honest. So what was her advice? If you're in a space where you're saying to yourself, I'm actually ready for something serious and I'm looking for someone at the same point, the first thing is to block and delete anyone whose values don't align with yours. They are taking up energy that can be given to someone who deserves it. Let the blokes have their midlife crises with their terrible new haircuts, tragic sports cars, oogling at young women, and let's find ourselves someone a little more mature, with a personality that matches ours and core values that run deeper than appearance. Stop taking it so personally. Now, wouldn't that be a lovely relationship to find yourself in? Let's aim higher, ladies, and don't let a few dudes get you down. Note to self. Aim higher. It sounds like the aiming higher hasn't been working. Now, I'm going to go over another article she wrote. This one here is only a couple days old. Today is December 3rd. This article I'm going to read now is about a week or so old, and the title is Janet Hocking on the worst thing about dating in your 30s. Now, wait till you hear some of this, guys. I'm going to put this out. This is going to be another reason why guys avoid the gals in their 30s, or at least some guys do, because not all guys do. And this part deals with drama and BS that simply guys realize increases with age, and they don't want to deal with it. In this one, it says, after the age of 29, something miraculous is meant to happen, but podcaster Janet Hocking has revealed that just isn't true. Starts, remember when we were young and livid for the dramatics of a relationship? In high school, we gossiped about who passed who at the footy oval last Friday night. Then we would take sides when the inevitable breakups came about. It was glorious. In our 20s, it cranked up a notch. The introduction of alcohol to our social lives meant that cheaters were caught and publicly shamed. Accidental pregnancies induced minor freakouts, and crushes on the boss at work were inevitable. It's okay, we thought to ourselves. Once we hit our 30s, it's all smooth sailing. Yep, we thought we'd settle down, get married, perhaps have some kids, and live out the rest of our lives drama-free. Drama-free? No. It only gets worse. And remember, guys, I've told you this more times than I can count. Women are attracted to drama like moths to a flame. Why do you think so many watch those shows they do? Especially those quote-unquote reality shows where there's all this never-ending drama. And if you're a gal watching this, you know what I'm talking about. Now, it can go in different degrees. There are some ladies out there that live for drama, not just hearing about it and watching it in a show or seeing about it amongst their friends, but also having it in their own lives. And I encourage you to avoid them like the plague. I don't care how hot she is, because it will come into your life, make your life miserable. And there's others that just like a little bit of drama. Maybe they like to hear about the gossip here and there and stuff like that, but they don't want it in their own lives. But still, they like drama. And you're going to see here, and guess what? Newsflash, and many of you guys are aware of this that are older, it doesn't stop. Ever. Ever. It says here, question, why did no one send out the memo saying, LOL wrong, we're just getting started, baby? She's admitting it. The drama is just getting started in the 20s, let alone what's going to happen in the 30s. And again, back to what I was talking about at the beginning about the article about guys not wanting gals over the 35. You can add another reason to the list. So it says, yep, I've had this realization quite a few times over the past couple of weeks. One recent wow moment took place during a chat for my Kinda Sorta Dating podcast with Kyla Kirkpatrick, a.k.a. the Champagne Dame from the Real Housewives of Melbourne. Good Lord, they do a Real Housewives of Melbourne? You see, right before lockdown last year, she was set to get married. However, a month before the mighty walk down the aisle, her fiancé called the whole thing off. I know, right? It's like the storyline straight out of Bold and the Beautiful. But wait, it gets worse. Thanks to the lockdown, they then had to live together following the crushing aftermath. And what's their current relationship status? Well, let's just say they had to tick a box on Facebook. It would be, it's complicated. I took a look around my own friend group and realized we've all had our own daytime soap opera scenarios in our 30s. You see, unlike our 20s when we weren't married, there were no kids in the situation, and mortgages were just a glimpse into the future. All that dating drama was just fodder. Now in our 30s and beyond, the drama is served with an extra side of fries. At least she admits this. I'll give her credit, she's admitting this. But yeah, this another reason why some guys, no way, Jose. Gals in their 30s, forget it. And can you blame them? Now listen to this, proving my point. She says, one married friend went on a girls' trip to Europe with me a few summers ago and ended up having the time of her life and decided to not come back. Yep, not come back to her marriage or her old life in Australia. Packed it all in and started again. And she says this, just quietly, bravo, girlfriend. So she's applauding her friend who went to Europe on a girls' trip, and I say, watch out for those girls' trips. Had a blast, and she's not detailing what having a blast was, but we can probably use your imagination, and never came back and abandoned her husband and family. Now, I don't know if she was in a bad marriage, but the point is, see I'm getting out there? 30s. Another left her job and moved interstate after she had an affair. So another married one left her job and moved away after she had an affair. Again, the drama, and it seems like this is being a little bit glorified here. One other story I heard along the grapevine was about a married high school teacher being caught out with another married teacher, risking a scandal, potentially unemployment, a divorce, and family breakup. More drama. So, why aren't we all just content with what we've got? Well, those #blessed enough to be in a relationship anyway. Actually, come to think of it, even us singletons don't get off scot-free. Dating in your 30s as a woman, meaning living with the constant fear that blokes your age are looking for someone younger and perhaps more fertile. That's what we were covering just earlier. We're often left with a dating pool filled with Peter Pans who are still not quite ready to settle down or have mothers who ain't going nowhere. Peter Pans aren't willing to settle down. Those are usually the guys they go for, because those are the fun guys. They're the bad boys, the Chad and Tyrones, and yet they chase after them. You know why? Because they're a challenge and they're fun. And nice guys are boring and predictable. Nice guys are the ones these gals settle for, and sadly, a lot of times don't treat very well and even sometimes cheat on. But the bad boys will chase after to the end of the earth. We're also bringing extra baggage into relationships thanks to an extra decade of dating. She just admitted that. 30s, we're bringing extra baggage into relationship thanks to an extra decade of dating. So again, you can't fault guys so much for some that don't want to date women in their 30s or past the age of 35 because they know there's going to be more drama. Right here in this article. Or helping our newly divorced lovers circumnavigate this new world of freedom, which takes a lot of energy. Add to that the fatigue of maintaining a career, paying off a mortgage, and attempting to #adult properly and dating in your 30s is sure a heck of a ride. So pull up a chair, pass the popcorn, and settle in for the ride. Because let's be honest, the dating, marriage, and love dramatics are just getting started. So, there you go. First was the article sounding off about dudes that wouldn't date a woman above the age 35 and ageism and blah, 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 blah. And I give my reasons why a lot of guys don't. And I think they're good reasons. They're understandable reasons. And I also make the point how a lot of gals won't give guys the time of the day, but for different things, showing that we're both, we both can be perceived as being shallow and superficial and all that. We have our things, they got theirs. But adding to that, the article about the drama in the 30s, you can see why a lot of guys say, not happening. So, guys, as I've said before countless times, this is something that gals get really pissed off about. But you know what? If you're going to get pissed off at us, then you have to look at yourself and say, hey, maybe we're being just as bad, but in a different way. But I have yet to hear that acknowledged, not once. And you've been watching me a long time, you know that I've covered quite a many videos and articles in the last almost 2 years since I started this channel. So, thought it'd be an entertaining one, guys. And again, thank you to all the 5 or 6 dudes that sent me this article. There you go. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, as usual, you guys come across a really good article that you'd like me to cover in the future, by all means, email me the link. And if it definitely works, I'll cover it down the road. And also, guys, if you happen to have a really good story in your own personal life that you'd like to share, something that you went through, some hardship that you overcame and came out on top, or just a simple question and needing help with something that would make a good video, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com, and I'll cover it later on down the road. I mean, I get flooded with these emails, and that's awesome. And I thank you guys, but I can only cover so many each day. So if I don't get to it right away, I will get to it down the road. Just bear with me. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.